All right, Sean Salisbury here for my review, preview, and kind of a look ahead for picks-wise in the NFL and what to look for this week. Not only Monday Night Football, but Tuesday football. I'll look back at what happened, and maybe I'll look forward at a few of the games that might be on your mind. Just an overall review of what happened last weekend and Sunday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs are phenomenal. Isn't it amazing how many different weapons they have, from Kelsey and Hill to when Watkins is healthy and Edwards-Helaire? I mean, they are just loaded. And then there's Patrick Mahomes, who can blink his way to 450 yards. You're going to have to be really good to stop them down the stretch, even with a defense that is somewhere just kind of when it comes right down to it. As good as teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers are, you're always going to take the quarterback. And right now, Mahomes is that much better than the world, at least in the AFC, and Rodgers may be fairly similar in the NFC. Tough to beat. They put it on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers showed some signs in the second half. Now, which team's showing up? Brady and Bruce Arians looked to be on a different page in the second half. Shallow crossers, getting the ball out quickly. Looked like Brady stuff with the New England Patriots as opposed to the first half. Vertical, incomplete. Aside from the two picks, they started to come around in the second half. Clock ran out on them, but you got to play better for 60 minutes if you're going to beat Kansas City. So if Bruce Arians will put stubborn aside and Tom Brady will continue to operate like that, he'll get the Mike Evans, Gronkowski shots, and that makes Tampa a real threat in January. But they must play like that. Derrick Henry proved again why he's a full-grown man and dresses in a phone booth. Carry after carry, and this is his time, as is December right now and January. Tennessee stays close in games, and if the play action is working like it did as they hammered Indianapolis, that was big boy football, heavyweight, knocking out a pretty good team in Indianapolis. Derrick Henry's the guy. If you can keep a game close and he can hammer you, you're in trouble if you're opponent against a Tennessee team who doesn't really get a lot of credit because defensively they don't get after the quarterback. But I'm telling you that if Tannehill protects the football with Derrick Henry, he might be the best available player come January, because doesn't matter what the weather is, and that's a linebacker playing running back, and he's got some wiggle too. Keep an eye on that football team right now. This is when they're at their best. The Raiders, I don't know who the Raiders are. I grew up a lifelong Raider fan. You got to par the par threes, as I've told you, to win a golf tournament. And you got to birdie, I've said this before, you got to birdie the par fives, and the Atlanta Falcons are a birdie. You got to birdie and eagle those holes. When you go out there, you can't lose to teams like that if you want to make the playoffs. And, well, I said the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, have got to find a way to beat those teams they're supposed to, which is the birdie hole. Then you got to beat the Kansas Cities once in a while, which is the par hole. And guess what? The Raiders proved exactly why you're still trying to trust them and can't. Rams are kind of similar. With Goff yesterday, it's like head-scratching. What in the world? Is that the same team I saw against Tampa? And then with GM and coaching jobs available in the NFL right now, you start to look around and think about all the coaching jobs that are out there and that are going to be available, as well as GM jobs. I can tell you this, regardless of coaches and GMs, we'll come down and we'll get a list before the season's over. When it comes to a GM taking a job and cities that are going to be open, that are already open, where it starts is an established franchise QB. If a team has that and you're a GM looking into 2 or 3 different jobs to take, you start right there with, you absolutely have to start with the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson. That's where it starts, an established franchise elite quarterback, and then you build around it. Whatever GM's taking the best job, right now that's the best job to take. All right, some games to look forward to. Monday Night Football, Seattle, 6-point favorites going on the road to Philadelphia. You may see some Jalen Hurts. I'm going to tell you right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are going the wrong way. Whether it's the coach not being on the page, the injuries, the roster's not very good. Is Carson Wentz still the answer? Are they questioning that now? Maybe Jalen Hurts gets some work. I can tell you this, that Russ Wilson going in there, 6-point favorites. I can't even fathom, even with their defense, meaning Seattle's, that Philadelphia can keep this game close. I would take Seattle in a heartbeat. And at 6-point favorites, I don't even know if that line will move before the start of the game, but unbelievable. Pittsburgh, COVID's ravaged the NFL when it comes to postponements and players missing. We saw what happened yesterday with the Denver Broncos not being able to play a quarterback but using a receiver, and congratulations to that young man who was able to just get out of the huddle and try to compete. He'll never forget that. Baltimore, these teams can't practice. COVID continues to strike, but they're going to play this game Tuesday, at least it appears now. 10.5-point favorites of the Steelers, and without Lamar Jackson and a whole host of starters, they're going to be a limited roster. Take nothing short of a miracle. Pittsburgh, if they don't win by 2 touchdowns as a 10-0 team and continue the unbeaten streak, then we're going to be head-scratching and wondering what the heck's going on. This is a heavy favorite. With both rosters together, it was a desperate game for Baltimore. But Pittsburgh's going to extend that streak and get to 11-0, and at 10.5, they should cover. The Indianapolis Colts heading to Houston. The Colts are 2.5-point favorites, but I'm going to tell you this is dangerous now because Deshaun Watson is playing lights out, great football, the best of his career, and he's excelling with a bunch of wide receivers not named DeAndre Hopkins, but good ones, and Fuller and Cooks. They're doing some things. They can't run the ball, but I'm telling you, the Indianapolis Colts better wake up from what happened with Derrick Henry running the ball and better gear up to stop Watson. You stop Watson, you win. But I'm telling you, there's a part of me that says keep an eye on where that line goes before you decide to settle in on the Colts. And then finally, the Browns 4.5-point dogs headed to Tennessee. This is going to be which running game wears the other one out, and then which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes. Tennessee 4.5-point favorites at home. While I love what Cleveland's done, their 8-3 streak, I believe, stops there. Tennessee continues. I think this is a 5.5, 6-point type game. I would take Tennessee. A little reluctant, but I'd take Tennessee because they're at home, and I'm not sure if it gets into a fist fight. Even though Nick Chubb can fist fight you, I think Tennessee's got a slight advantage. Picks-wise, NFL, look forward, look back, and a look at the games. I think that's where you should lean. It's a pretty good idea how to make yourself some money this week. Have a great week. Hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you again soon.